let's go into more detail about how intuition works. So imagine you have a friend, and this friend has made $10 million. And you sit down with the friend and you say, how did you do it? And the friend tells you the story of how he got from where he started to the $10 million in the bank. So that's a pretty clear example of how he did it. Now, suppose you had that same goal. Perhaps you could follow the exact same steps as your friend, or maybe not. Or maybe you don't have a friend who will hold your hand and just walk you through every step. Or maybe if your friend did walk you through every step, that it just wouldn't work the same way for you as it did for him. So this is why intuition is so important. And so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to get a sheet of paper and write down the following sentence based on whatever goal you want to achieve. So we'll use the $10 million as the example. And you would write, I have $10 million, period. How did I get it? Question mark. Now, your mind is going to oppose this sentence because you don't have it. And if you listen carefully, your mind will start telling you stored information that is gathered from the past with the intent to keep you safe. So maybe it will tell you, I don't know how to do it, or I'm too stupid to do it, or if I did succeed, then somebody would try to steal the money from me, or I don't like lawyers, or things like that. So the mind will give you a nice flow of reasons why this can't happen. And so your assignment is to just, with each sentence that you hear from the mind, or also that can be accompanied by negative feelings, and whether it's the words or the feelings that you don't like and we don't want to hear, just say, I love you to those things. And just keep saying, I love you, and really look at them closely. Really give them your attention because they're part of you. And when you give love to the parts of you that you don't normally want to listen to, normally something very magical happens. That's why I teach this. This is very reliable. And you just keep doing that until, and it may take a while. I don't know, I can't tell you how long it will take, but you don't need to look into your past. You don't need to do, anything, terribly cathartic. Just what I just told you, and you just do this, and you'll notice that every time that you give love to this thing that normally you would try to repress or distract yourself from, that you'll feel a little lighter, you'll feel a little more peaceful. So then after a while of doing this regularly, maybe several days, maybe even several weeks or a month in a row, you'll notice that in that quiet zone, you may get little bits of information seemingly coming out of nowhere. That's your intuition. And so intuition is knowledge that you didn't learn. It's not of the mind. It's expressed in words, and the mind manages your language for you, but you wonder, where did that information come from? And you'll know instantly if it's the right thing for you to do or not. Or, basically what's going on is the intuition will fill in the story. The point is, if you can hold the feeling and the experience of having, in this case, the $10 million, and you can let go of all the reasons why this doesn't work, that you can't have it, or that even this method is stupid and you should be getting to work, actually, why don't you just do some work? And suddenly the right action or the right message will come. And there's so many different examples in my life of this happening. And I'll tell you one of the big stories. When my father was he was getting old and he was getting sick, and he asked me to manage his retirement estate for him and my mom. She didn't really. She also had inherited a little bit of money, and so suddenly I became tasked with managing all this stuff. And it was nice. It's certainly better than nothing, but it wasn't enough to pay me to do the amount of work that I was doing with it. And then around 2007, 2008, there was the mortgage crisis, and suddenly everything was going down at the same time. So normally in the stock market, bonds would be inversely correlated with stocks, and the exchange rate would be on another track. And suddenly the value, everything was just, I could see it was going to, I think the world was in trouble, and it really was. And oddly, I had this friend, our kids went to the same school, and while we were waiting to pick our kids up, he wrote books, kind of doomsday economic books. And he'd written a book called something like the Coming Mortgage Crisis. And he was telling me, it's like, this is happening way faster. What he predicted was happening, and it was happening a lot faster than he thought it was going to. And so I was freaking out, and I called the stockbroker, who was sort of just the administrator. I said, what should we do? Because I had been learning about finance, high finance, and about hedge funds and how to hedge your portfolio, but those things are for the ultra wealthy, the average person with retirement. He said, no, the stock market always goes up. You just buy and hold. And he didn't know anything because he didn't actually invest his own money. He just got paid a percentage of everybody he could reel into his sales group. And so I'm sitting there pondering and not coming up with any answers of what I should do. And then it started, and the first day the stock market moved down, I think it was about 10%. And the whole estate was worth about $1 million at that time. And so we were tracking about half the volatility of the normal market, but suddenly we lost $50,000, and the news, everybody was freaking out. And I still didn't know what to do. And so but during that time I was doing a lot of meditation and a lot of other kind of work to cultivate, my own peace, which was hard to come by in those days. And I was just sitting on my bed, not doing anything special, not doing any practice, and suddenly this loud voice said, tomorrow morning, the minute the market opens, sell everything. Put it all in cash. And at the same moment, I realized, I understand now. Suddenly I understood the whole game and why the broker had no ideas for us, had never thought about how to hedge a portfolio of that size. And so we did. And the next morning, the market moved up like 100 points. And then it crashed like 50%, but we were out. And so, we saved 95% of the value of my mom's portfolio in cash. Now, of course, the value of the US dollar was crashing as well. And, figuring out what to do with it was another challenge. And I finally decided that, I talked to my mom, and she was concerned about the ideas that I had. And I just said, I just can't keep my mind on this. It'll be better if I focus on my own work and we leave this job of reinvesting this money to somebody else. So I got out of that role, and it was such a relief because managing small amounts of money is not fun. It's really hard. And of course, it's somebody else's life, and I just thought it'd be a lot better if I just focused on my own life. And really, at that point, I just thought, let God take care of that, and things worked out for her. My dad had died by that point, and she lived another 10 years or so, And I didn't have to do anything more than I did except just save the portfolio so that somebody else could get in after the whole mortgage crisis had been mopped up, and then invest in a more conventional way while the market was going back up again. So that was one of my favorite stories of intuition. But even this morning, I was just thinking about my own goals, and I wasn't feeling very good, and I was feeling kind of pessimistic, and I just stopped and I just thought, do this. And so I wrote down my goal. And I said, how did it happen? So I wrote down the goal as if I had it. I have my goal. How did it happen? And literally within a minute or two, that voice came and said, do this today. So I did, and I was totally thrilled. This turned out from starting as, when I woke up, I felt so lousy. I thought, this day's shot. I'm not going to get anything done. And instead, just with that one little turn, suddenly my whole energy profile shifted, the way I felt, everything shifted, and I was just on fire. I've worked a lot today, and I really enjoyed every minute of it. So I'm giving you this information. It's getting close to bedtime. I'm going to go take a walk, but I had a great day. And living from intuition is just, the more you do it, the better it gets. And I'm not saying don't do your research, don't do your homework, don't plan, but when you're in an impasse or you're just not sure how you're going to go forward, do this. I have my goal. How did I get it? Write down anything that comes to you and do it. If it feels right, you'll know. You'll know if it feels right, and if it feels right, go do it. If you want more coaching and mentoring like this, check out my Make My Nut mentoring group, or below in the notes for this video, you can book a call with me and talk to me about your project, and we'll see if it's a good idea to work together. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care.